Hello friends. Welcome to Defense Matrix. On this channel you will get fully information about defense and technology. Let's view the video. The Iron Brigade, the origins of the Iron Brigade, America's most fearless fighters. In the chaos of the American Civil War, one unit stood out so fiercely on the battlefield that even their enemies spoke of them with awe, the Iron Brigade. But how did this legendary unit come into being? Formed from hardy Midwestern states, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Michigan, these men weren't just soldiers, they were farmers, blacksmiths, and teachers who chose to fight with unmatched resolve. Unlike other regiments, the Iron Brigade wasn't cobbled together overnight. They were handpicked for their toughness, discipline, and fighting spirit. They earned their famous name after standing firm under brutal fire during the 1862 Battle of South Mountain. A Union general remarked, "They must be made of iron," and the name stuck. But their reputation wasn't built on words, it was forged in smoke, blood, and bayonets. Wearing distinctive black hardy hats and long frock coats, they refused to break under pressure. The Iron Brigade became the face of unshakable courage, leading charges when others retreated, holding lines no one else could. Their story is not just about history, it's a masterclass in leadership, unity, and mental fortitude in the heat of battle, battlefield brilliance, tactics, technology, and weaponry. The Iron Brigade didn't just fight hard, they fought smart. Their battlefield tactics were ahead of their time. Unlike traditional line formations, they adapted to terrain, used cover, and maintained tight firing discipline. In a war where chaos reigned, they were precision machines. Their technology? Deadly efficient. Armed with Springfield Model 1861 rifled muskets, they could shoot farther and more accurately than their Confederate counterparts, but it wasn't just the tools, it was how they used them. Coordinated volleys, layered fire, and perfect timing made their attacks devastating. Their officers weren't reckless glory seekers. They were tacticians who understood the evolving nature of warfare. The Iron Brigade was one of the first to blend traditional infantry tactics with emerging concepts of modern warfare, setting the stage for the strategic doctrines used in later conflicts. Their integration of discipline, technology, and raw courage made them nearly unstoppable on the battlefield. Iron discipline, training, uniforms, and the psychological edge. The Iron Brigade wasn't feared just for their combat skills, it was their presence, their discipline, and their look that struck fear before a single shot was fired. Clad in their unique black hats and long blue coats, they looked like reapers of war. Confederate soldiers nicknamed them the Black Hats, not just for their uniform, but for their unwavering advance through hellish gunfire. Their training was grueling. Officers drilled them relentlessly, emphasizing unit cohesion, marksmanship, and fast maneuvering. They could march for hours, hold formations under fire, and reload with deadly speed. But their true weapon? Mental toughness. When other units broke and fled, the Iron Brigade held the line. They had a reputation to protect, and they did so with iron will. That discipline made them a terrifying force because they didn't just follow orders, they believed in the mission. They became a symbol of resolve, morale, and psychological dominance, traits that still define elite military units today. Blood and glory, the Iron Brigade in major battles. The Iron Brigade wasn't just famous, they became immortalized through fire and sacrifice in some of the Civil War's bloodiest battles. One of their earliest tests came at the Battle of Bronner's Farm in 1862. Outnumbered nearly 2-1, they stood their ground against the seasoned Stonewall Brigade. For 2 hours, the air was filled with lead and smoke. When the dust settled, the Iron Brigade held the field, an almost impossible feat. Then came Antietam, the bloodiest single day in American military history. The Iron Brigade was in the thick of it, storming the infamous cornfield, a patch of land that became a slaughterhouse. They advanced with unflinching resolve, mowing down enemy lines but paying a heavy price. The field was littered with bodies, many of them their own, but they broke through Confederate lines when no one else could. Their most defining moment, however, came at Gettysburg. On July 1, 1863, they were the first Union infantry to engage. They launched a furious assault through McPherson's woods, driving back a larger Confederate force. But victory came at an enormous cost. Over 1,200 of the 1,800 Iron Brigade soldiers were killed, wounded, or missing. It was one of the highest casualty rates in the war. They earned glory, yes, but bled for it. Their fearlessness became a symbol of honor and sacrifice. When soldiers heard the Iron Brigade was coming, they knew the tide could turn. They weren't just participants in the war, they were its defining edge, its iron heart. Death toll and sacrifice. Why they were called the Black Hats? They wore black hats, but not as decoration. Those wide-brimmed hardy hats became a haunting symbol on the battlefield. Confederate troops began calling them the Black Hats, not just for their distinct appearance, but because wherever these hats appeared, death followed. The Iron Brigade earned this grim respect by paying the ultimate price. Over and over again, they had the highest casualty rate of any Union brigade in the entire Civil War, over 60% by some estimates. At battles like Antietam and Gettysburg, entire companies were wiped out within minutes. Yet, they never wavered. Their discipline wasn't built in training camps alone, it was forged in the agony of burying brothers, in standing firm while bullets tore through ranks, in carrying on when all seemed lost. But this sacrifice wasn't just about death, it was about what they stood for. The Iron Brigade believed in something greater than themselves. Their resilience became a model of what it means to fight with purpose. Their story isn't just history, it's a mirror reflecting courage under fire. Today, modern military units still study their legacy to understand unit cohesion, morale under pressure, and battlefield leadership. They weren't just men with rifles, they were iron spirits wrapped in blue and black, marching into hell without flinching. And that's why they remain etched in military legend. 6. Legacy and influence. The Iron Brigade's impact on modern warfare. The Iron Brigade may have marched into history over 150 years ago, but their influence is still felt in modern military doctrine. Their unmatched discipline, adaptability, and morale have become benchmarks for elite units across the globe. Modern military strategists study their tactics to understand the power of unit cohesion, especially under fire. Their iconic never-break mentality has shaped the ethos of U.S. Army Rangers, Marines, and Special Forces. Even today's military training programs emphasize the very qualities that made the Iron Brigade legendary: mental fortitude, teamwork, and tactical precision. Their story isn't just a tale of the past, it's a powerful lesson for the future of warfare. The Iron Brigade didn't just fight battles, they defined what it means to be a warrior. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel Defense Matrix for more interesting and knowledgeful videos.